Do antique or vintage men's wedding bands exist, and what styles were popular? Have you ever wondered about the history behind men's wedding bands? It is fascinating to discover that antique and vintage men's wedding bands do exist, showcasing a rich history filled with evolving styles and traditions. While it may seem like a modern practice for men to wear wedding rings, the tradition of rings as symbols of commitment dates back thousands of years. Antique men's wedding bands can be traced back to ancient civilizations like Egypt. Couples exchanged rings made from braided reeds or woven leather to symbolize eternity and everlasting love. These early rings were simple yet meaningful, emphasizing the circular shape as a sign of completeness and unending commitment. In ancient Rome and Greece, men often wore signet rings featuring family crests or symbols of power and wealth. These rings sometimes served as betrothal rings, representing marriage contracts between families. The feed ring, popular from ancient times through the Middle Ages, featured two hands clasped together, symbolizing a handshake agreement rather than romantic love. During the Middle Ages and Renaissance, men's wedding bands became more decorative and symbolic. Gold bands gained popularity as markers of wealth and commitment, often engraved with religious symbols or inscriptions for spiritual protection. The Renaissance period saw the rise of intricate designs and the use of gemstones. Posy rings, which featured engraved love poems or phrases, were fashionable among the nobility. In the 19th century Victorian era, men's wedding bands often included ornate detailing and diamonds, reflecting the era's romanticism and craftsmanship. These rings were sometimes passed down as family heirlooms. However, during the World Wars, simpler and more affordable bands became common, focusing on understated elegance while maintaining the ring's symbolic meaning. Popular styles of antique and vintage men's wedding bands include signet rings with family crests or initials, symbolizing identity and authority. Feed rings with clasped hands representing agreement and union. Gimel rings featured interlocking bands symbolizing unity. Posy rings were engraved with romantic verses or mottos. Simple gold bands sometimes had engraved patterns or religious symbols. Rings set with small diamonds or other gemstones were especially popular in Victorian times. Today, vintage men's wedding bands are appreciated for their timeless elegance and historical significance. Collectors and grooms seeking unique rings often look for these styles to reflect personal heritage or make a distinctive statement. Maintaining and restoring antique rings requires care, often involving professional cleaning and preservation to keep the metal and any stones in good condition. Antique and vintage men's wedding bands exist across many historical periods, each with distinct styles reflecting cultural values and artistic trends. From simple braided reeds to intricately engraved gold bands, these rings offer a fascinating glimpse into the history of men's wedding jewelry.